There were a number of smart things I did in this race, and the first one was I lined up right at the start line. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. The reason that was a smart move is because this first lap was a very hard lap for me. Either was an old guy racing in a young category thing, or I just didn't warm up well enough for my upper end. So you notice here that I kind of backed off and letting some people fill in. There's about 60 plus people in this pack, and so I have some buffer to work with, which is one of my main things. So I let some people go, I get in the wheel, and then I gotta let some people go again. I am dying right here, and this is a tailwind section. So you can see with the insert in the lower left-hand corner of my rear camera that people are just scattered here, and so we're in danger of having a big split. And this again is a 3's and 4's field. Again, you just notice that I had to have some more people go in front of me so I can get on their wheel, so then hopefully they can get me back up to the rest of these guys. And when you're looking ahead up there, we're lined out at the front, you look in the rear camera, we're lined out back there. And now I have another stupid gap in front of me. And so again, more people are jumping across. Now they're jumping hard and I'm not getting on these guys' wheels. So there's still some people behind me, and I know there are. Job one right now is get onto somebody's wheel and then have them pull me up to the rest of the pack. I am in danger of being dropped in the first lap. I still have a lot of people behind me, but at this point I'm really not thinking about that. I'm just thinking about that one wheel I can grab onto. So looking at the rear camera, looks like everything is okay, but I still have a little bit of a gap. I'm going a little too wide at this point, and now I'm straight into the headwind, and I'm waiting for some more wheels to come up because I'm not going to be able to fill that gap. And these guys are going through strong. Good thing this is a big pack, because I would have been dropped right now if we only had about 30 people in the pack. So the guy right in front of me there, that is my teammate David. Back in the old days, we would have been making some tactical plans before the race, but now I'm just concerned about being able to finish with the pack without getting dropped. Finally, things have settled down, and the buffer concept has yet worked again. It also didn't hurt that you had over 60 people in this pack. Looking at the course outline in the upper right hand corner, we are on a very long start-finish straight, and this is also a very long headwind section, and the winds are around 18 to 20 miles an hour from what I recall. So those winds are quite hefty, and we'll talk about how to deal with the start-finish, especially when you're entering it, when I get to the other side of the course. So right now I'm just trying to settle my system down and get my legs back. So I am just trying to stay tucked in as much as I can. And that's where the title of this video comes in, Dangerous Protection. And you'll see some examples of that later on. And that protectionism is only one aspect of positioning that was important for me to do in this race. For example, we're on a mostly tailwind section, and now we're going to go into the second chicane. It's important for me to be in the position where I am now, where I'm going to be a bit protected from the wind when I turn in the direction, but still the wind is not going to be a factor in this section. The importance of positioning here is to be on someone's wheel to set up for the final exit out of the chicane, where you can still be on someone's wheel, but apply a lot of power so you can go to the left side of the pack and be even more protected from the wind. So this section still has tailwind qualities to it, but now it's kind of a side tailwind. And the turn that we're coming into, as you'll notice with the little course insert in the upper right hand corner, it's going to be a 105-degree turn where you'll be coming dead into a 20-mile-an-hour headwind. And if there's a gap there, and you're an old guy like me that doesn't have the punch that these guys have, and you're off of their wheel by a bit, then things just get tougher. And you don't want things to get tougher here, because if you look at the insert of a rear camera in the lower left-hand corner, there's only one guy behind me, and he's way behind me. That is no buffer, baby. It was on this corner I was starting to realize that the pack in this race was not interested in doing any type of sustained power efforts. And when I say sustained, I'm talking about a minute plus. And that's good, because that is my weakness with respect to old guys racing in young guys races. And it's not that they're playing into my strengths, they're just playing into an area where it's not weak, where I can do a shorter power effort and then still be able to survive with the pack. So now I'm resting a bit. I'm starting to slowly get my legs back, and now I'm starting to think about positioning. So we're coming into turn 1, and then it leads right into turn 2, which is the middle of the chicane. And typically what I started to do is downshift, so I have a lot more RPMs that I can play with, so I can have more of an immediate acceleration coming into and out of these corners. Because as with the previous second chicane, coming out of this corner is key because things usually light up after this, or can light up after this. So again, as with the previous chicane description, I want to be in good position, applying a lot of power coming into that last corner so I can just keep on staying on people's wheels like I am now. If you haven't seen my previous videos, this is actually the second time we're doing this race course. Chowch number 1 was about 2 weeks ago, and had the same configuration, same races, and so I'm doing the 35-45s like I was a couple weeks ago. And a couple weeks ago, I was dropped in the middle of it and waited around, and the pack came around again, and then I was able to hook up with them. Okay, so a lot of power being applied coming out of that chicane, and now I'm pretty much where I want to be. I want to be on the left side. So there's an opportunity for me to move up like that guy up there in the gutter. I didn't go in the gutter this time, but I am looking for that opportunity to be able to move up and to be able to do that like I'm doing right now. Things are tight. Things are a little bit dangerous, but the key is not to panic. I didn't panic, and the guy next to me didn't panic, and we were turning right, so he was a little more protected with being able to do that. Doing a quick process check, I am toward the back, but I'm not at the back. Oh, and there's my teammate there, Dave. So I also told him before the race, if you're behind me, then you're in trouble. So hopefully he remembers that, and it looks like he's moving up, so good on him. So again, I'm protected now, and I'm actually getting to a rest here a little bit. And it looks like other people are getting the rest too. Of course, from my vantage point, I can't see what's going on in the front, but it seems like that no one was really interested in trying to form a break. And at least if they were, it was so muted back here that I couldn't tell. And again, this is only like the third lap of the race. Thank goodness for all these bodies. So again, this is the headwind section, but the headwind is actually coming from our left a little bit. So it's kind of like a slight cross headwind. That'll be important later on in the race when things get a little stretched out on the headwind section. I just jumped ahead about 12 and a half minutes. So we're coming out of that second chicane. I'm in pretty good position. I'm trying to apply power here, and things are stretched out up there, so people are moving up there, so things may start to happen. So what's starting to happen here is there's a gap in front of me. Now the people behind me are not interested in filling it. Maybe they can't fill it. So I'm filling it. Again, it is a tailwind, kind of a side tailwind. So I get in position, and then I'm able to just go off the power a bit, and so I can rest as we're coming into this section. So I give I'm over here on your left side, and he gives me a little bit of room, and so now we're coming into the headwind section, and it looks like they're still applying power out there. So we're a little stretched out, but not that much, but I want to stay on the right side because that wind again is coming slightly from the left side. So now I am just tucking my nose into people's butts. The more I can do that, the less power I have to use. Looking over to my left in the Ascend kit there is my other buddy, Dave, same name, and he's actually Dr. Dave, or I should say ER Nurse Dave. He was working in the ER at the time when they brought me in for my broken collarbone and punctured lung. And of course that happened during a practice race that we had locally a couple years ago. And it was interesting that when I got back on the bike and I started doing group rides, I was a little wary of those in front of me. Because what actually happened during that crash was that somebody went to sprint in front of me and slipped out of their pedal, and then they went down and I went over them, and then I got to see Nurse Dave in the ER. After I got healed, I did a couple of road races, which were at the beginning of the pre-COVID year of 2020, and then there was no more racing. So now here I am doing a crit. I'm not getting any heebie-jeebies from being close to anybody, and all seems good with respect to that. I'm fast-forwarding again to about 2.5 laps to go. So you'll see in the rear camera insert in the lower left-hand corner that there's quite a few people behind me. There's more people in front of me, but I've moved up a bit, and I'm actually feeling pretty darn good, and I'm thinking about doing something stupid. So something stupid in my case is going to be attacking and trying to get away, because I can't sprint with these guys, but I'm thinking, I got to give something a shot here. Of course, I can't attack from way back here. I got to get in better position. But at least I'm in an acceptable position right now where there hasn't been a gap, so I'm not having to use a lot of extra bananas, so to speak, to get up there. Now, the guy that just passed me, I'm going behind him because this is where I wanted to be. He was where I wanted to be. So now I'm on the left side. We're going to hit this corner into the headwind, and we're bunched up. So I'm going to look for an opportunity to maybe take off here, or actually I'm looking for an opportunity to move up a little bit. Maybe somebody will pull me up a bit, and then if it's opportune, then I'm just going to take off. So as I'm looking to see what options are before me, this happens. So now I'm thinking that everyone else who's aware of this crash, which is going to be this middle section that's up ahead of me, is probably feeling things similar to what I'm feeling, that my senses are heightened right now and that my legs are amped. So that in combination that it took a little bit of my momentum away, I'm just going to sit where I am here because if I tried to do anything stupid, it really wouldn't work. I have to do a bit of correction here because previously I stated that I had jumped to about 2.5 laps to go. Well, I had jumped to 1.5 laps to go. So now we're on the bell lap. So I'm just going to ride this in. I need to practice my last lap speed, but I'm so jazzed with the race that I've had compared to with the race that I had a couple weeks ago that I'm glad just to be with the pack, and if they take off like they're taking off now, that's fine with me. I still have 2 more races to do, and that's a whole nother story, possibly a whole nother video. Actually, that kind of was. I made my Day Out Chowch race video, and I posted that before I made this video here. So I'll link that in the description below. Definitely check that out. You'll get to see what happens to an old guy who tries to do 3 races. 2 of them with a lot younger guys. All right, back to the screen. We are coming out of that last chicane, and there's a lot of real estate in front of me, and I really don't care that much. I was so happy that I gave myself a thumbs up. I think there's only one guy behind me, and that's my teammate Dave. Talking after the race, we both had solid races and we were both pretty happy. But wait, the action's not over yet. As I make that final turn into the headwind section, and I see this, I hope that you all enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Always remember these eternal words. Comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.